I paid $985,000 to be called worthless at my own family's dinner table, and the 28 missed calls that followed proved exactly who the real burden was. My name is Maya Davidson, and for 8 years, I was the invisible foundation holding my entire family together. The single daughter, the childless sister, the one who sat at the end of every table while secretly paying for everyone's lives. That night, when my sister Jessica declared I was a burden the family would be happier without, 15 relatives watched in silence. My father actually smiled. My mother studied her plate. And I stood up, walked out, and cut off every financial lifeline they never knew existed. Before I reveal how their perfect lives collapsed in less than 24 hours, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if stories about reclaiming your worth truly resonate with you. I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your city and local time below. Let me take you back to where this all began. At 32, I was the family failure. Single, childless, and apparently destined to die alone with my laptop and spreadsheets. That's how my younger sister Jessica saw it, anyway. She'd married Marcus at 25, bought a house at 27, and by 29, she was the golden child who'd given our parents everything they wanted. Except grandchildren, but that was coming soon, she promised. Every family gathering followed the same script. Mom would sigh dramatically when setting my single place setting. Dad would ask Jessica about her husband's big promotion, while actively turning his chair away when I tried to mention my work. And Jessica? She'd pat my hand condescendingly and say things like, "Don't worry, Maya. Some people are just meant to be career women." Career woman. She said it like it was a consolation prize. What they didn't know, what I'd never told them, was that 3 months earlier, I'd been promoted to chief financial officer at one of Seattle's fastest-growing tech firms. My salary had jumped to $180,000 a year. While Jessica flaunted her wedding ring and suburban life, nobody asked about the promotion that had made me one of the youngest CFOs in the Pacific Northwest. I'd learned long ago that my achievements only mattered if they came with a wedding ring attached, so I stopped sharing them. I sat at the end of the table, smiled politely, and let them believe their version of my life. But that night at dinner, something felt different. My phone buzzed with a notification from my bank. Another automatic transfer had processed, $8,500, like clockwork, every single month. As I stared at the screen, Jessica's laughter rang out across the table, bright and careless. She had no idea her entire life was built on my silence. "Maya, are you even listening?" Jessica's sharp voice cut through my thoughts. "I was telling everyone about Marcus's new Tesla order." I looked up from my phone. 15 relatives stared at me from around the extended dining table. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all gathered for our monthly family dinner. I sat in my usual spot at the far end, what Mom cheerfully called the singles corner, though I was the only one sitting there. "Sorry, work email," I said quietly. "On a Saturday night?" Jessica rolled her eyes. "This is exactly why you're still alone. Men don't want to date workaholics." Dad nodded approvingly at Jessica. "Your sister's right, Maya. You need to get your priorities straight. Family first, always." The irony almost made me laugh. Family first. I thought of the automatic transfer notification still glowing on my phone screen. 8 years ago, Dad had come to me in tears. The family business was failing. He needed a loan, just temporary, he promised, 3 months maximum. That was 96 months ago. "Speaking of priorities," Mom chimed in, "Jessica has some wonderful news to share tonight." She beamed at my sister like she'd personally hung the moon. I watched Dad literally turn his chair 15 degrees to face Jessica better, his back now partially to me. It was such a practiced movement, so casual, that I wondered if he even realized he did it anymore. Aunt Patricia, Dad's older sister and the only one who ever seemed to notice these dynamics, caught my eye from across the table. She'd been a CFO herself before retiring, the only other career woman in the family. She raised her eyebrows slightly, a silent question. You okay? I nodded and forced a smile. But my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't the bank. It was an email from a headhunter in Seattle. Subject line: Urgent, CEO position, immediate start. I excused myself to the bathroom and opened my banking app. The numbers never lied, unlike everything else at this table. $8,500, transferred out like clockwork. I scrolled back through the history, watching the amount grow over the years. It had started at 2,000, then 3, then 5. 8 years of bank statements told a story my family would never acknowledge. The family business's rent, $3,500. The mortgage on my parents' house, $2,800. Jessica and Marcus's car payments, $1,200. Health insurance for the entire family, $1,000. $8,500. Every single month. I did the math I'd been avoiding. 8 years, 96 months, 816,000. That didn't even include the one-time payments. Jessica's wedding, $45,000. Dad's emergency surgery, $30,000. The business's temporary cash injection during COVID, $90,000. Marcus's coding boot camp that was supposed to land him a six-figure job, $15,000. Grand total, $996,000. Nearly $1 million. While they called me a burden. My phone rang. It was my financial advisor. I declined the call but saw his text. Maya, you need to make a decision about the Seattle offer. Your current obligations are preventing you from qualifying for a mortgage. At this rate, you'll never own property. I stared at myself in the bathroom mirror. 32 years old. Nearly $1 million given. Zero acknowledgement received. And now, an opportunity to triple my salary as CEO of a startup. If I could just stop being the invisible foundation holding up everyone else's dreams. Through the door, I heard Jessica's bright laughter again. Oh, we're so blessed, she was saying. Marcus's new position is going to change everything for us. Position. Right. I wondered if she knew her husband had been between jobs for 2 years. Back at the table, I stared at the Seattle offer on my phone. CEO, $350,000 base salary, equity, a chance to build something of my own. Maya's doing that thing again, Jessica announced to the table, lost in her phone while family's talking. I'm looking at a job offer, I said quietly. Another lateral move? Mom sighed. Honey, maybe if you focused less on climbing ladders and more on finding a partner. It's a CEO position. The words slipped out before I could stop them. The table went quiet for exactly 2 seconds before Jessica laughed. CEO? Maya, be realistic. You're a bookkeeper. I'm a chief financial officer. Same thing. She waved dismissively. Besides, you can't leave. What about your obligations? Obligations. She said it so casually, like she wasn't living in a house I paid for, driving a car I funded, married to a man whose job consisted of spending my money. My therapist's words echoed in my head from our last session. Maya, what are you really paying for, their bills or their love? I'd sobbed in her office, unable to answer. She'd handed me tissues and said gently, Love shouldn't have a price tag, and you can't buy something that should be freely given. I need to think about my future, I said carefully. Dad's face darkened. Your future is here with family, that's what matters. But I'm 32 and I don't even own. Because you're selfish with your money, Jessica interrupted, always hoarding it for yourself instead of helping family when they need it. I felt the room spin slightly. Hoarding? I opened my mouth to respond, but Aunt Patricia suddenly stood up. I think Maya should take whatever opportunity makes her happy, she said firmly, looking directly at me. Sometimes the best thing you can do for family is show them you value yourself. Thank you, Patricia, but Maya knows where her priorities should be, Mom said coolly. Family comes first, always. My phone buzzed. The headhunter again. Maya, they need an answer by Monday morning. This opportunity won't wait. Monday, 2 days away. Speaking of family, Jessica stood up, tapping her wine glass. Marcus and I have an announcement. Everyone turned to her, the Seattle conversation instantly forgotten. This was Jessica's superpower, redirecting attention whenever it drifted from her. We're buying a new car, she beamed. Marcus got a huge bonus at his new position, and we're finally upgrading to a Tesla Model X. A bonus? I couldn't help myself. From which company? Marcus shifted uncomfortably in his seat, avoiding my eyes. He knew that I knew. 2 years ago, he'd come to me in private, desperate. Lost his job, too proud to tell Jessica, begged me to help just temporarily. I'd been depositing $3,000 monthly into an account he controlled, letting him pretend it was salary. From his consulting firm, Jessica said smoothly. You wouldn't understand, Maya. It's a partnership structure thing. Consulting, I repeated flatly. Yes, consulting. Her eyes narrowed. Why are you being weird about this? Because your husband hasn't worked in 2 years. Because that bonus is my money. Because I'm subsidizing your entire fantasy life while you call me selfish. But I said nothing, like always. Anyway, Jessica continued, we're picking it up next week. Isn't it exciting? Our second Tesla. The relatives cooed appropriately. Dad raised his glass in a toast. Mom wiped away a proud tear. And I realized with perfect clarity, if I stayed, this would be my life forever, funding their dreams while being told I was the burden. The Seattle offer wasn't just a job, it was an escape route. Before we celebrate Jessica's news, Mom said, standing up, I want to say something. The room quieted. Mom rarely made speeches. Family is everything, she began, looking around the table. Some of us understand that. Her eyes lingered on Jessica. We build lives, create homes, give the family a future. She paused. And some of us... Her gaze shifted to me. Some of us are still finding their way. Still finding their way at 32, someone whispered. I couldn't tell who. But that's okay, Mom continued with false brightness. Not everyone can be a Jessica. Every family has to have... She paused, searching for the word. They're Maya. They're Maya. Like I was a category, a type. The spinster aunt, the cautionary tale. Speaking of which, Jessica stood up again, clearly not done with her moment. Since we're all here, I wanted to share something else. She looked directly at me, and something in her eyes made my stomach drop. Maya, this is actually perfect timing with your little CEO fantasy. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Because I've been thinking about our family dynamics lately. Jessica, Marcus said quietly, maybe now isn't... No, it needs to be said. She cut him off. We all tiptoe around it, but someone should be honest. The room held its breath. Even the cousins' kids seemed to sense the tension. Maya, you're 32, single, no kids, no prospects. She listed each word like an indictment. And honestly, you bring down every family gathering with your whole... She waved her hand vaguely. Situation. Jessica, Aunt Patricia snapped. What? I'm just saying what everyone thinks. Jessica's voice rose. We're all supposed to pretend it's normal? That it's healthy? She sits there on her phone, judging everyone, contributing nothing. Contributing nothing? The words escaped before I could stop them. Yes, nothing. Jessica's eyes flashed. When was the last time you hosted dinner? Organized a family event? Hell, even brought a +1? I contribute in other ways, I said quietly. Oh, here we go. Jessica rolled her eyes. Let me guess. Your job? Your precious career? Newsflash, Maya. Nobody cares about your spreadsheets. Jessica, that's enough, Aunt Patricia said sharply. No, it's not enough. Jessica's voice cracked slightly. I'm pregnant, okay? Marcus and I are having a baby. The table erupted in congratulations. Mom actually screamed with joy. Dad was up, hugging Jessica, tears in his eyes. Our first grandchild, Mom sobbed. Finally! Through the chaos, Jessica kept her eyes locked on mine. This is what contribution looks like, Maya. Creating life, building a future, giving Mom and Dad what they actually want. Congratulations, I said quietly. See, even now you can't just be happy for me. She shook her head. It's always about you, isn't it? Your job, your struggles, your loneliness. I said congratulations. With that tone, that face? Jessica's voice grew harder. You know what? I'm glad you're considering that Seattle job. Maybe some distance would be good for everyone. Jessica, Mom gasped, but she was smiling, still riding the high of the pregnancy announcement. What? Someone has to say it. Jessica looked around the table, gathering support. We spend so much energy trying to include Maya, to make her feel better about her choices. But maybe we should just accept what she is. And what's that? My voice was barely a whisper. Jessica looked me dead in the eyes. A burden. The word hung in the air like a physical thing. Someone who takes up space but gives nothing back. Someone we'd all be... She paused and I saw the moment she decided to say it. Someone we'd all be happier without. The silence was deafening. I looked at Dad, waiting for him to say something, anything. He lifted his wine glass to his lips and smiled. Dad's smile was small, satisfied, like Jessica had finally said what he'd been thinking for years. Robert, Aunt Patricia said, her voice dangerous. Aren't you going to say something? Dad shrugged. Jessica's hormonal. First trimester and all that. Hormonal? I stared at him. She just called me a burden. Don't be so sensitive, Maya. He sipped his wine again. You know how sisters are. I looked at Mom. She was studying her plate, lips pressed together. Not disagreeing, not defending, just silent. We'd be happier without you, Jessica repeated, slower this time. There, I said it. What everyone's been thinking for years. Around the table, relatives shifted uncomfortably. Some looked away. Others were nodding slightly. My cousin Sarah actually whispered, Finally, someone said it. I stood up, slowly, carefully. My hands weren't shaking, which surprised me. Maya, sit down, Mom said quietly. Don't make a scene. A scene. My sister had just eviscerated me in front of 15 people, and I was the one making a scene. I picked up my phone, looked at the Seattle offer one more time. Then I opened my banking app and did something I should have done years ago. You're right, Jessica, I said calmly. I am taking up space here. Maya, don't be dramatic, Dad said, finally looking at me directly. Sit down. Finish your dinner. No. I picked up my purse. Jessica's right. You'd all be happier without me. See? Jessica said to the table. She always does this, makes everything about her, so I'm going to give you what you want. I looked directly at her. A life without me in it. Marcus grabbed Jessica's arm. Jess, stop. You don't understand. Understand what? She shrugged him off. That Maya's having another pity party? I walked toward the door, typing on my phone as I moved. Maya! Aunt Patricia called out. Sweetheart, wait! But I was already gone. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, hit that like button. Your support helps me share these important stories about setting boundaries and finding self-worth. And hey, drop a comment. Have you ever been the family scapegoat? What was your breaking point? Let's talk about it. Now, back to that moment when everything changed. I sat in my car in the restaurant parking lot, fingers steady as I typed. First, an email to the Seattle headhunter. I accept the position. I can start immediately. Send. Next, I opened my banking app. 8 years of automatic transfers, rent for the family business, mortgage for my parents' house, car payments, insurance. All of it in my name because their credit was shot. Cancel, 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 cancel. A text from Aunt Patricia. Maya, what are you doing? Your father just asked for the check and his card was declined. I turned off my phone. The drive home was silent. No music, no podcasts, just the sound of rain on the windshield and the strange lightness in my chest. For 8 years, I'd carried them all, nearly $1 million. And for what? To be called a burden at a table I'd paid for, in a restaurant I'd chosen because it was Dad's favorite, eating food I'd covered with my credit card like always. At home, I pulled out the folder I'd been avoiding. Every receipt, every transfer, every temporary loan that became permanent. My financial advisor had insisted I document everything for tax purposes. You never know when you'll need proof, he'd said. I photographed every page, uploaded them to the cloud. Then I called someone I should have called years ago. Patricia? My aunt answered on the first ring. I need the number for your lawyer friend, the one who handles family business disputes. Maya, sweetheart, what happened after you left? Please, just the number. She gave it to me without another question. That's what I loved about Aunt Patricia. She knew when to push and when to just help. I made one more call. Mr. Chen, it's Maya Davidson. I'm ready to discuss those documents you've been asking me to sign for 3 years. The ownership transfer papers? Maya, are you sure? It's time. I pulled the folder from my safe. 3 years ago, when Dad had needed another emergency injection of capital, our family lawyer, Mr. Smith, had drawn up papers. I'd invest $90,000, and in exchange, I'd receive 51% ownership of the family business. It's just a formality, Dad had said, barely glancing at what he was signing. For tax purposes. He'd been drunk at the time. Celebrating Jessica's wedding, the one I'd paid for. He probably didn't even remember signing them. But the papers were legal, notarized, filed with the state. I'd never exercised my ownership rights, never attended board meetings, never questioned decisions. I'd been the silent partner in every sense. Silent money, silent power, silent presence. My phone, still turned off, sat on the counter. I knew it would be exploding with calls by now. The canceled automatic transfers would have triggered alerts. The credit cards I paid, all in my name but with them as authorized users, would stop working within hours. I made one last call from my laptop. Samantha, it's Maya. I need you to do something for me tomorrow morning. Samantha was my assistant, though nobody in my family knew I had one. Of course. What do you need? Send a formal notice to Davidson Family Enterprises. As majority shareholder, I'm calling an emergency board meeting for Monday morning. Maya, is everything okay? Everything's perfect. Oh, and Samantha, book me a one-way flight to Seattle for Tuesday. One way? One way. After I hung up, I sat in my apartment's silence. Somewhere across town, my family was probably discovering their cards were declined. Tomorrow, they'd realize the mortgage payment wouldn't process. By Monday, they'd understand that the burden they'd wanted gone was actually the foundation they'd been standing on. But tonight? Tonight, I opened a bottle of wine and toasted myself to finding out what you're really worth. Sunday, 7:03 a.m. I turned on my phone. 43 missed calls. 28 from family. The first voicemail was from Dad, timestamp 10:47 p.m. Maya, there's some kind of mistake with the credit card. Call me back. The second, 11:15 p.m. Angrier. Maya, this isn't funny. The restaurant is holding my ID until we pay. The third, 11:52 p.m. Panicked. The business account is frozen. What did you do? By 2 a.m., Mom had joined in. Maya, sweetie, please. Whatever Jessica said, she didn't mean it. Call us back. But the most interesting message came at 6:45 a.m. from our bank manager. Ms. Davidson, we need to discuss the immediate payment of the business credit line. As the primary account holder, you're aware it's due tomorrow. Without your usual transfer, the business will default. I made coffee and waited. The next call would come soon. 7:23 a.m. Dad. I let it ring through to voicemail, then listened. Maya, I don't know what game you're playing, but enough. The mortgage is due tomorrow. The business needs operating capital. Stop being childish and fix this. Childish. The burden who'd paid nearly $1 million was being childish. 7:41 a.m. Jessica. Her voicemail was shrieking, Maya! My credit card was declined at brunch, in front of Marcus's parents. What did you do? 8:15 a.m. A text from Marcus. Maya, please. Jessica doesn't know about our arrangement. Can we talk? Arrangement. Such a clean word for 2 years of me paying him to lie to his wife. 8:32 a.m. Mom crying. Maya, the bank called. They said we have 24 hours before they start foreclosure proceedings. Baby, please, we're family. Family. The word sat bitter in my mouth. Then, at 8:47 a.m., a different text. From Aunt Patricia. Good for you, sweetheart. It's about damn time. 9:15 a.m. Jessica called Marcus while I was on speaker. I know because Marcus pocket dialed me during their fight. What do you mean the payment bounced? Jessica's voice was shrill through the phone. Jess, calm down. Our Tesla payment bounced, Marcus. How does a bonus check bounce? It wasn't exactly a bonus. What was it then? Silence. Marcus, what was it? It was Maya. What? Maya's been helping us, financially. Helping? What do you mean helping? Jess, I lost my job 2 years ago. The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. Then Jessica exploded. 2 years? You've been lying to me for 2 years? I wanted to tell you. And Maya knew? Maya's been paying our bills? The car payments, the house, the insurance? Oh my God, her voice broke. Oh my God, I called her a burden. I said we'd be happier without her, and she's been paying for everything. Yes. How much? Jess, how much, Marcus? About $3,000 a month, for 2 years. $72,000. Maya gave us $72,000 while She started sobbing. Oh my God, what have I done? The call ended there. Marcus probably realized he'd pocket dialed me. 10 minutes later, Jessica texted me. Maya, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Please, can we talk? Then another. I was horrible. I was jealous. You're so independent and I'm drowning and I took it out on you. Another. Please answer. Another. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but please. Another. The family business will collapse without you. And finally, you were never the burden. I was. I've always been the burden, haven't I? I didn't respond. Some truths come too late to matter. 10:30 a.m. Dad called from the office. I could hear the panic. Maya, Richardson Corp just pulled out. They said their contract was contingent on you remaining as CFO. How do they even know you're our CFO? You don't work here. Oh, Dad, still clueless. For 5 years, I'd been meeting with our clients on my lunch breaks, reviewing their accounts, fixing Dad's mistakes, smoothing over his drunken fumbles. Richardson Corp didn't do business with Davidson Family Enterprises. They did business with me. 11:00 a.m. An email from Richardson's CEO. Ms. Davidson, we heard you've accepted a position in Seattle. Congratulations. Please let us know if your new company needs any partnerships. We'd be happy to follow you there. 11:30 a.m. Another client pulled out, then another. By noon, Dad had lost 60% of the business's revenue. 12:15 p.m. Mom called Aunt Patricia in desperation. Patricia, wonderful Patricia, put it on speaker so I could hear. Pat, you have to talk to Maya. The business is falling apart. Why would clients care if Maya left? Patricia asked innocently. I thought she was just a burden who contributed nothing. This isn't the time for, isn't it? You let Jessica humiliate her. Robert sat there smiling while his daughter was destroyed, and now you want her to save you? She's destroying everything out of spite. No, Linda, she's removing herself, just like Jessica demanded. You're just learning what Maya actually did for you all. But the business is majority owned by Maya. Has been for 3 years. Silence. What? 51%. She owns 51%. Robert signed the papers. That's impossible. Call your lawyer. Ask him about the investment documents from Jessica's wedding day. The call ended with Mom's sharp intake of breath. 1:00 p.m. A text from Dad. We need to talk about these ownership papers. Wow, right? Sometimes the biggest plot twist is simply the truth coming out. If this story resonates with you, please subscribe and ring that notification bell. I post new family drama stories every week. Quick question. What would you do in Maya's shoes? Would you reveal everything or just walk away quietly? Drop your thoughts below. Monday morning. The emergency board meeting. The conference room at Davidson Family Enterprises had never been so full. Dad, Mom, Jessica, Marcus, Aunt Patricia, and 3 lawyers, theirs, mine, and the company's. I walked in wearing my best suit, the one I'd bought for the Seattle interview. Calm, composed, professional. Maya! Dad stood up. Finally. Fix this mess you've created. I haven't created anything. I sat down at the head of the table. I've simply stopped enabling. You can't just... Actually, she can. My lawyer, Mr. Thompson, opened his briefcase. As majority shareholder, Ms. Davidson has full authority over company operations. Majority shareholder? Mom's voice was faint. Aunt Patricia stood up. 3 years ago, Maya invested $90,000 to save this company from bankruptcy. In exchange, Robert signed over 51% ownership. I was drunk, Dad protested. Doesn't invalidate the contract, Thompson said. It was notarized, witnessed, and filed with the state. But I don't remember. You don't remember a lot of things, I said quietly, like the $800,000 in personal expenses I've covered, or the fact that I've been meeting with your clients for 5 years, keeping them from leaving. Jessica was crying silently. Marcus stared at the table. 800,000? Mom whispered. 985,000, actually. Thompson pulled out a folder. We have every receipt, every transfer, every payment. Would you like me to read the itemized list? This is extortion. Dad slammed his hand on the table. No, I said calmly. Extortion would be demanding repayment. I'm not asking for a penny back. I'm simply exercising my legal rights as majority owner. Maya owns 51% of this company, Patricia said clearly. Has for 3 years. She just never told you. Mr. Thompson opened the folder. Let's review Ms. Davidson's financial contributions to the Davidson family over the past 8 years. This isn't necessary, Dad started. Oh, it is, Aunt Patricia interrupted. Everyone needs to hear this. Thompson began reading. Monthly mortgage payments for Robert and Linda Davidson, $2,800 per month for 96 months. Total, $268,800. Mom gasped. Monthly rent for Davidson Family Enterprises, $3,500 per month for 96 months. Total, $336,000. Dad slumped in his chair. Vehicle payments for Jessica and Marcus Morrison, $1,200 per month for 36 months. Total, $43,200. Jessica sobbed harder. Health insurance for the entire family, $1,000 per month for 96 months. Total, $96,000. The room was silent except for Jessica's crying. One-time payments. Jessica Morrison's wedding, $45,000. Robert Davidson's emergency surgery, $30,000. Business emergency fund during pandemic, $90,000. Marcus Morrison's coding boot camp, $15,000. Stop, Mom whispered. Please stop. But Thompson continued. Miscellaneous expenses including utilities, groceries, gas cards, and emergency funds, $61,000. He closed the folder. Grand total, $985,000. 900. Dad couldn't finish. $85,000, I said clearly. While being called a burden, while being told I contribute nothing, while sitting at the end of the table like an afterthought. We didn't know, Mom said weakly. You didn't want to know. I stood up. Every time I tried to discuss finances, you changed the subject. Every time the bills got paid, you never asked how. You just assumed it would happen. Because you never said anything, Jessica burst out. Would it have mattered? Would you have treated me differently if you knew? Or would you have just demanded more? The silence was my answer. Jessica stood up, mascara streaming down her face. I called you a burden. Yes. In front of everyone. Yes. While you were paying for my entire life. Yes. She walked around the table toward me. Marcus tried to grab her arm, but she shook him off. The car, the house, Marcus's job, everything was you? Everything. Even, she touched her stomach. Even the fertility treatments? I nodded. $15,000 for 3 rounds of IVF. She'd told everyone Marcus's bonus covered it. Oh my God. She collapsed into a chair. I'm pregnant because of you. My entire life exists because of you. And I called you a burden. Jessica, Marcus started. Shut up! She whirled on him. You knew! You knew what she was doing for us, and you let me humiliate her. You were so proud of my success. Your success? Your success? She laughed bitterly. You mean Maya's money? Dad finally found his voice. Maya, we can work this out. The company needs you. No. I pulled out the Seattle contract. I've accepted a CEO position. I leave tomorrow. CEO? Mom blinked. But you're just what, Mom? Just the single daughter? Just the burden? Just the one whose achievements never mattered unless they came with a wedding ring? That's not... Richardson Corp is following me to Seattle. So is Brennan Industries. And Whitfield Group. I looked at Dad. That's 70% of your revenue walking out with me. You can't do this. Dad stood up, his face red. I'm your father. And I'm the majority owner of this company. I turned to Thompson. Please explain the restructuring plan. Thompson pulled out another document. Effective immediately, Ms. Davidson is implementing new corporate governance. I'm not here to destroy anyone, I said, my voice steady. I'm setting boundaries. Boundaries? Dad laughed bitterly. You're destroying our lives. No, I'm removing myself from them. Exactly what Jessica wanted. I looked at my sister. You said you'd be happier without me. I'm giving you that chance. Maya, please. Jessica reached for me. I stepped back. Here's what's going to happen. The company will continue operating, but under new management. I'm hiring a professional CEO. Dad, you'll retain 49% ownership and the advisory role, but no signing authority. You can't. I can, and I am. I turned to Mom. The house has 3 months left of payments. After that, you'll need to handle it yourselves or sell. 3 months? Mom went pale. That's generous, considering I was told 12 hours ago that you'd all be happier without me. Personal support ends today. Credit cards, insurance, all of it. Marcus, I looked at him. I've arranged a legitimate entry-level position at Richardson Corp if you want it. $35,000 a year. You'll report to their Seattle office. Seattle? It's a real job with real responsibilities. Take it or leave it. Jessica grabbed Marcus's hand. We'll take it. We'll move. We'll do whatever. I'm not doing this to punish you. I met her eyes. I'm doing this because I matter. My life matters. My dreams matter. And I'm done sacrificing them for people who see me as a burden. You were never a burden, Mom said quietly. No, I wasn't. I was an ATM, a safety net, a silent investor, everything but a valued family member. Thompson handed Dad the restructuring documents. You have 24 hours to sign, or Ms. Davidson will dissolve the company and liquidate assets. This is business, I said. Not personal, just business. Wait, Aunt Patricia spoke up. I want everyone to understand something. She stood, dignified and stern, every inch the former CFO she'd been. Maya could have demanded repayment, nearly $1 million. She could have sued for fraud, emotional distress, financial exploitation. Instead, she's offering you a clean break and a functional company. This is revenge, Dad muttered. No, Robert, revenge would be what you deserve. Patricia's voice was ice. This is mercy. She turned to me. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. It takes strength to stop enabling people who don't value you. Maya, Jessica stood up again. The baby. I know I have no right to ask, but will you ever— I'll be an aunt, I said quietly. But on my terms, with boundaries and respect. I can do that. I can learn. Actions, Jessica, not words. I picked up my bag. Mr. Thompson will handle the transition. I have a flight to catch tomorrow. You're really leaving? Mom's voice broke. I'm really living. I headed for the door, then paused. You know what's ironic? If you'd just loved me, just valued me as a person instead of a resource, I would have given you everything anyway, freely, joyfully. Maya, but you couldn't see past my ring finger to see my worth. So now you get to learn what life is like without your burden. Marcus suddenly spoke. Maya, thank you for everything. I'm sorry I was too much of a coward to tell the truth. I nodded at him. One apology accepted. The Seattle position, he continued. I'll take it, and I'll earn it, properly this time. Good. As I reached the door, Dad called out, You'll regret this. Family is everything. No, Dad. Family should be something, but it shouldn't be everything, and it definitely shouldn't cost $1 million. Tuesday morning, Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. I sat at the gate, one-way ticket in hand, when my phone rang. Jessica. Please don't hang up, she said quickly. I'm not calling to change your mind. Then why? To say something I should have said years ago. You're incredible, Maya. You held us all up while we stood on your shoulders and complained about the view. I stayed silent. I was jealous, she continued. You were so strong, so independent. You didn't need anyone, and I needed everyone. I couldn't even tell my husband was lying to me for 2 years. Jessica, I'm in therapy now, starting today, individual and couples. Marcus too. We're selling the house, downsizing, taking that Seattle job, not to follow you, to follow your example. That's good. Maya, I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but someday maybe, could we try to be actual sisters? Not the toxic mess we were, but something real? I thought about it. Maybe, someday, but Jessica? Yeah? It won't be free. The relationship, I mean. You'll have to earn it. With respect, honesty, and reciprocity. Can you do that? I want to try. Then maybe. Someday. After I hung up, Aunt Patricia texted, Proud of you, kiddo. Your parents signed the papers. The company is yours to do with as you please. Then, surprisingly, a text from Mom. I failed you as a mother. I see that now. I hope someday you'll give me a chance to do better. I didn't respond. Some bridges take time to rebuild. Some never get rebuilt at all. As they called my boarding group, I felt lighter than I had in 8 years. Seattle wasn't just a city. It was a future where I mattered. Where I was never, ever a burden. 1 week later. Seattle. I was unpacking in my new apartment when Jessica called. I almost didn't answer. Maya, I'm in the parking lot at Mom and Dad's. I need to tell you something. Jessica, I'm not ready. I knew. The words tumbled out. I knew you were paying for everything. Not the exact amounts, but I knew. my hand stilled on the box I was unpacking. Every month, money would just appear, the bills would just get paid, and I knew it wasn't Marcus, I knew it wasn't Dad, but if I acknowledged it, if I admitted it, then I'd have to admit that my perfect life was a lie. Why are you telling me this? Because I need you to know that when I called you a burden, it wasn't ignorance. It was cruelty. Deliberate, calculated cruelty. Jessica, I was drowning, Maya. In debt, in a failing marriage, in mom and dad's expectations, and you were swimming, thriving, succeeding, and I hated you for it. So you tried to drown me too? Yes. She was crying now. I wanted you to feel as worthless as I felt, as dependent, as pathetic. But I wasn't any of those things. No, you were the opposite. You were everything I pretended to be, and that's why I had to tear you down, in front of everyone, to make myself feel bigger. And now? Now I'm in therapy twice a week. Now I'm working a real job for the first time in my life. Now Marcus and I are learning to be honest with each other. Now I'm learning that the burden was never you. It was my own jealousy, my own insecurity, my own failure. I appreciate your honesty. I don't expect forgiveness. Good, because I don't have any to give. Not yet, maybe not ever. I understand. We sat in silence before she spoke again. You saved us all, and we destroyed you for it. No, I said firmly. You tried to destroy me, but I saved myself. 3 weeks into Seattle life, Dad called. First time since the meeting. The new CEO you hired is changing everything. Good, that's what I paid him for. Maya, he's making me report to him. Me, I founded this company. And nearly destroyed it 3 times. I have the bankruptcy filings to prove it. Silence. Your mother wants to talk to you. Maya? Mom's voice was smaller than I'd ever heard it. The house, we got an offer. That's good. We're downsizing, moving to a condo, 2 bedrooms. Okay? There's no room for you. If you visited, I mean, we wouldn't have space for you. I almost laughed. Even now she was trying to hurt me. Mom, I have a 4-bedroom penthouse here. Why would I need space at your condo? 4 bedrooms? But you're single. I have a home office, a guest room, and an art studio. You know, for all those paintings you never knew I did because you never asked about my interests. You paint? For 15 years. I didn't know. You didn't want to know. If it wasn't about marriage or grandchildren, you weren't interested. That's not... She stopped. That's exactly true, isn't it? Yes. I'm sorry, Maya. I'm so sorry. I measured your worth by your marital status instead of your character. I valued Jessica's wedding ring over your MBA. I celebrated her dependency over your independence. Why? Because that's how I was raised. A woman's worth was her husband and children, but you proved that wrong. And instead of being proud, I was threatened. And now? Now I'm in therapy too, learning to see you, the real you, the brilliant, generous, accomplished woman I raised but never recognized. That's a start, Mom. Could we maybe start over? Someday? Maybe. But Mom, this time I set the terms. Month 2 in Seattle. The family group chat I'd been removed from was apparently explosive, according to Aunt Patricia. You should see what's happening, she told me over video call. The extended family found out the truth. How? Jessica told them, at Sunday dinner. Stood up and confessed everything. The money, the lies, what she said to you. Why would she do that? Therapy, apparently. Something about accountability and making amends. And? Your cousin Sarah, the one who whispered finally when Jessica called you a burden, she tried to defend herself by saying everyone was thinking it. Were they? No. Most of them were horrified. Your Uncle James actually stood up and left. Said he couldn't sit at a table with people who would treat family that way. Uncle James did that? He did. But here's the interesting part. 3 of your cousins reached out to Jessica's friends, told them what really happened. Patricia, that's cruel. I didn't do it, but the truth has a way of spreading. Jessica's lost most of her friend group. The ones who stayed are the real ones, but that's only 2 people. I didn't want her destroyed. You didn't destroy her. The truth did. There's a difference. Patricia continued. The business is thriving under the new CEO, by the way. Profits are up 30% in just 2 months. How? Turns out your father was drinking away most of the revenue. The new CEO implemented strict financial controls. Your parents are getting their distributions, but that's it. No more company credit cards. No more business lunches at country clubs. And they're surviving? Barely. But they're learning. Your mother got a part-time job. Mom's working? At a boutique, 20 hours a week. She says it's humbling. Good for her. And Jessica? Started her new job in Seattle last week, living in a 1-bedroom apartment with Marcus, taking the bus to work, building an actual life. 3 months later, Dad's birthday. The invitation came by mail, not text, formal, respectful. You are cordially invited to Robert Davidson's 59th birthday dinner. No gifts, please. Your presence would be gift enough. I called Aunt Patricia. Did you help them write this? No, that's all them. They're trying, Maya. Should I go? That's your decision. But I'll be there if you do. I flew in for the weekend. Didn't tell them I was coming. Just showed up at the restaurant. A modest place. Not the expensive steakhouse we used to frequent. The look on Dad's face when I walked in was worth the trip. Maya? Happy birthday, Dad. The table was smaller this time, just immediate family and Patricia. I noticed the dynamics immediately. I was seated next to Patricia, not at the end. Jessica and Marcus were across from us, both looking healthier despite their simpler clothes. You came, Mom whispered. I came. Dinner was quiet at first. Then Jessica spoke. I'm 40 days sober. I looked at her, confused. Not from alcohol, from shopping, from spending money. I don't have to feel better about myself. That's great, Jess. Marcus got promoted, she added. A real promotion, based on merit. Marcus nodded. I'm actually good at coding. Who knew? When you're not lying about having a job, you can focus on doing it well. Dad cleared his throat. The company's doing well. Your CEO is excellent. I know. I get the reports. You monitor them? He seemed surprised. I'm the majority owner. Of course I monitor them. Right, of course. Mom reached across the table tentatively. Maya, your apartment in Seattle. Could we maybe visit someday? Maybe, when you've earned it. She nodded. We're working on that. And for the first time in years, I believed them. 6 months later, Jessica's baby shower. She'd sent a handwritten invitation, not an evite or text. Real paper, real stamps, real effort. Please come, no gifts needed, just you. I stood in the doorway of the small community center she'd rented. Not the country club she'd always dreamed of, just a simple room with homemade decorations. Maya! Jessica stood up, very pregnant now. You came. I came. The room was different from what I expected. No massive crowd, maybe 15 people. Quality over quantity. Everyone, Jessica announced. This is my sister Maya, the CEO of her own company in Seattle. Not my single sister. Not my childless sister. Just my sister, the CEO. Mom approached carefully. You look wonderful, sweetheart. Thanks, Mom. I've been reading about your new company. The Seattle Times article was impressive. You read it? I have a Google alert for your name now. I'm learning about all the things I missed. Dad joined us, looking healthier, clear-eyed. Maya, I want to say something. Dad, please, I need to. He took a breath. For 32 years, I had a daughter who was brilliant, generous, and accomplished. And I ignored her because she didn't fit my narrow definition of success. The room had gone quiet. I valued the wrong things. measured worth by the wrong standards, and I nearly lost the child who literally saved our family. Dad, please. You weren't the burden, Maya. My pride was. My blindness was. My failure as a father was. Jessica walked over, one hand on her belly. We were the burdens, all of us, weighing you down while you lifted us up. That's over now, I said quietly. Yes, Jessica agreed. That's over. Now we stand on our own feet. And maybe, someday, we can stand together, as equals. Maybe, I said, and for the first time I meant it. Year 1 in Seattle. My reflection time. I stood on my penthouse balcony, looking out at the city lights, thinking about the journey. $1 million. That's what I'd spent trying to buy love that should have been free. But here's what I learned. You can't purchase what people aren't willing to give. I wasn't their burden. I was their enabler. And there's a crucial difference. A burden weighs people down against their will. An enabler prevents them from standing on their own feet. I'd confused generosity with enabling, confused helping with hindering their growth. By paying for everything, I'd robbed them of the chance to succeed on their own, to fail and learn, to build real self-worth through real accomplishment. Jessica was thriving now, not because of my money, but because of its absence. She'd discovered she was actually talented at marketing. Who knew? Marcus had become a legitimate developer, earning respect through skill, not lies. Mom had found purpose in her job, small as it was. Dad was sober for the first time in years, forced to face reality without the cushion of my cash. And me? I'd discovered that my worth had nothing to do with their approval, nothing to do with marriage or children, or fitting into their narrow definition of success. My worth came from my character, my achievements, my choices, my boundaries. The family we were building now, slowly, carefully, was based on respect, not obligation, on choice, not manipulation, on love, not transaction. Sometimes you have to lose your family to find them. Sometimes you have to stop being needed to become wanted. Sometimes you have to walk away to discover who'll follow. And sometimes the burden you carry isn't yours at all, it's theirs. And the kindest thing you can do is set it down and walk away. Year 2, Jessica's daughter's first birthday. I flew in for the party. Small gathering, just family and close friends. The baby, Sophia, reached for me immediately. She knows her Aunt Maya, Jessica said softly. I tell her about you every day. What do you tell her? That her aunt is the strongest woman I know, that she built her own empire, that she teaches people about boundaries and self-worth by living them. Marcus handed me a card. Sophia's college fund. We started it, our own money. Every month we add what we can. I can help. No, Jessica said firmly. We do this ourselves, that's the point. Dad raised his juice glass. He didn't drink anymore. A toast to Maya, who saved us from ourselves, and to Sophia, who'll grow up knowing her worth isn't tied to anyone else's approval. Especially not ours, Mom added. We're learning that love isn't about control or conditions. It's about respect and freedom. After dinner, Dad pulled me aside. The company's doing incredibly well. Your CEO wants to expand. We need your approval. Send me the proposals, I'll review them. All business with you now, he said, but he was smiling. Business is business, family is family. They're separate now. That's healthier. Yes, it is. Jessica joined us, Sophia on her hip. Maya, I'm starting my own marketing firm, small, just me for now. But I wanted you to know, I'm not asking for investment or help. Just, would you be proud of me? I'm already proud of you, Jess. Even after everything? Because of everything. You faced the truth. You changed. You grew. That takes real strength. She started crying. I love you, Maya, the real kind, the kind that doesn't cost anything. I love you too, Jess. And I meant it. Finally, I meant it. Today, 3 years later, I'm sharing this story because I get messages every day from people living my old life, people funding their families' dreams while being treated like ATMs, people called burdens while carrying everyone else. Here's what I want you to know: family should be your support system, not your subsidy system. Love doesn't come with a price tag. If you have to pay for it, financially or emotionally, it's not love, it's a transaction, and you deserve better. Setting boundaries isn't cruel, it's necessary. It's the kindest thing you can do for yourself and them. My family didn't start respecting me until I stopped letting them disrespect me. You're not responsible for other people's financial irresponsibility. You're not obligated to sacrifice your dreams for their comfort. You're not a burden for existing as yourself. My family and I? We're good now. Not perfect, but real. Jessica runs a successful marketing firm, built entirely on her own merit. My parents live within their means and find joy in simplicity. The family business thrives under professional management. And me? I'm the CEO of a company valued at $50 million. I'm also a painter with a gallery showing next month. I'm learning violin. I'm traveling. I'm living. Still single? Yes. Still childless? Yes. Still happy? Absolutely. Because my worth was never about my relationship status. It was never about meeting their expectations. It was always about recognizing my own value. If you're the family burden, the one who gives and gives while being told you're never enough, this is your sign. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You don't have to drown so they can float. You matter. Your dreams matter. Your boundaries matter. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is stop enabling and start living. Thank you for joining my journey. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe. It really helps these stories reach people who need them. What boundaries do you need to set with your family? Share in the comments below. And remember, you're not a burden. You're valuable, worthy, and deserving of respect. See you in the next story.